In the world of business, efficiency is key. It's about maximizing output with minimal input. This is where efficiency ratios come in. They are your magnifying glass, providing insights into how well your business utilizes its resources. Understanding these ratios can be the difference between success and failure. Efficiency ratios are like vital signs for your company's health. They tell you how effectively you manage assets, inventory, and cash flow. By analyzing these ratios, you gain a clear picture of your operational strengths and weaknesses. This knowledge is essential for making informed decisions that drive profitability and growth. Imagine two companies with the same revenue but vastly different efficiency ratios. The company with better ratios uses its assets, manages inventory, and collects receivables more efficiently. This translates to higher profitability and a stronger financial foundation. Investors and lenders recognize this, making efficient companies more attractive for funding. Mastering efficiency ratios is not just about crunching numbers, it's about understanding what those numbers mean for your business's health. By keeping a close eye on these metrics, you can identify areas for improvement, optimize operations, and unlock your company's true potential. Asset turnover is a crucial efficiency ratio that measures how effectively a company utilizes its assets to generate revenue. It's like a report card for your assets, telling you how hard they are working for you. A higher asset turnover ratio indicates that a company is generating more revenue per dollar of assets, which is a sign of efficiency. Calculating asset turnover is simple. Divide net sales by average total assets. For example, if a company generates $1 million in sales with $500,000 in average total assets, its asset turnover ratio is 2. This means the company generates $2 in revenue for every $1 of assets. A high asset turnover ratio is generally desirable, as it suggests that a company is using its assets efficiently to generate sales. However, it's important to note that what constitutes a good asset turnover ratio can vary depending on the industry. For example, a grocery store with low margins may have a higher asset turnover ratio than a luxury car dealership with higher margins. By monitoring asset turnover, businesses can identify opportunities to improve asset utilization. This may involve optimizing inventory levels, streamlining operations, or even divesting underperforming assets. By making assets work harder, companies can boost revenue, profitability, and overall financial health. Inventory turnover is another critical efficiency ratio that measures how quickly a company sells its inventory. It's like a measure of how fast your inventory is flying off the shelves. A higher inventory turnover ratio indicates that a company is selling its inventory quickly, which is generally a positive sign. To calculate inventory turnover, divide the cost of goods sold by the average inventory. For instance, if a company has a cost of goods sold of $500,000 and an average inventory of $100,000, its inventory turnover ratio is 5. This means the company sells and replenishes its inventory 5 times a year. A high inventory turnover ratio is generally desirable because it means that a company is tying up less cash in inventory and is less likely to be stuck with obsolete or slow-moving goods. However, an excessively high inventory turnover ratio could indicate that a company is not holding enough inventory, which could lead to stockouts and lost sales. By monitoring inventory turnover, businesses can optimize their inventory management practices. This may involve implementing just-in-time inventory systems, improving forecasting accuracy, or negotiating better terms with suppliers. Effective inventory management can free up cash, reduce storage costs, and minimize the risk of obsolescence. Section 4. Receivables turnover, getting paid on time. Receivables turnover is an efficiency ratio that measures how effectively a company collects its receivables. Essentially, it reflects how quickly customers pay their bills. A higher receivables turnover ratio suggests that a company is collecting its receivables more quickly, which is a positive sign for its cash flow. To calculate receivables turnover, divide net credit sales by average accounts receivable. For example, if a company has net credit sales of $800,000 and average accounts receivable of $200,000, its receivables turnover ratio is 4. This implies the company collects its average receivables 4 times a year. A high receivables turnover ratio is generally favorable as it indicates efficient credit and collection processes. This means the company has less cash tied up in outstanding invoices and is less susceptible to bad debts. Conversely, a low ratio might signal lax credit policies or ineffective collection efforts, potentially leading to cash flow problems. By monitoring receivables turnover, businesses can improve their credit and collection practices. This might involve setting clear credit terms, conducting thorough credit checks on new customers, sending invoices promptly, and implementing effective collection strategies. Optimizing receivables turnover can significantly enhance a company's cash flow and overall financial health. Section 5. Payables turnover, managing your debts. Payables turnover is an efficiency ratio that measures how quickly a company pays its suppliers. It's essentially a reflection of a company's payment behavior. A higher payables turnover ratio indicates that a company is paying its suppliers more quickly, which can be viewed as both positive and negative. Calculating payables turnover involves dividing the cost of goods sold by the average accounts payable. For instance, if a company has a cost of goods sold of $600,000 and average accounts payable of $150,000, its payables turnover ratio is 4. This means the company pays its suppliers 4 times a year on average. A high payables turnover ratio could indicate strong relationships with suppliers and the ability to negotiate favorable credit terms. However, it could also suggest that a company is paying its bills too quickly, potentially missing out on opportunities to utilize its cash more effectively. On the other hand, a low payables turnover ratio may suggest that a company is taking too long to pay its suppliers, which could strain relationships and potentially harm its credit rating. Finding the right balance is crucial for maintaining good supplier relationships while optimizing cash flow. Section 6. Working capital turnover, keeping the wheels turning. Working capital turnover is an efficiency ratio that measures how effectively a company utilizes its working capital, which is the difference between current assets and current liabilities. It reflects a company's ability to generate sales from its short-term assets and liabilities. To calculate working capital turnover, divide net sales by average working capital. For example, if a company has net sales of $1 million and average working capital of $250,000, its working capital turnover ratio is 4. This signifies the company generates $4 in sales for every $1 of working capital. A higher working capital turnover ratio is generally desirable, as it suggests that a company is utilizing its working capital more efficiently to generate sales. This indicates that the company is effectively managing its short-term assets and liabilities, which is crucial for maintaining a healthy cash flow. By monitoring working capital turnover, businesses can identify opportunities to optimize their working capital management. This may involve improving inventory turnover, speeding up receivables collection, or negotiating more favorable payment terms with suppliers. Effective working capital management is essential for ensuring that a company has sufficient liquidity to meet its short-term obligations while maximizing its investment in growth opportunities. Conclusion: efficiency ratios, your key to financial success. In conclusion, mastering efficiency ratios is paramount for achieving sustainable business growth and securing funding. By closely monitoring and analyzing these ratios, entrepreneurs can gain invaluable insights into their company's operational efficiency and financial health. A thorough understanding of asset turnover, inventory turnover, receivables turnover, payables turnover, and working capital turnover empowers businesses to make informed decisions that optimize resource utilization, enhance profitability, and attract investors or secure loans. Remember, efficiency ratios are not just numbers. They are powerful tools that, when properly understood and utilized, can unlock a company's true potential and pave the way for long-term success. By striving for continuous improvement in these key areas, businesses can establish a solid foundation for financial stability and sustainable growth in today's competitive market.